The Plum in the Golden Vase, Chongzhen version of the Embroidered Portrait, Chapter 97. Fake siblings secretly renew their relationship with Luangjia, while the real couple spends time together in harmony. The wordsies, I regret that I failed my deep wish, but over the years, I have become deeply resentful. As we cross the water in Wushan Mountain, we can play like a screen, but we can only look up in a daze. Watching fireworks and listening to string instruments are for fun, but may cause heartbreak. I read pictures all the time and read letters again and again, as if I had seen them with my own eyes. Speaking of Chen Jingji, he got off his horse when he arrived at the Garrison. Zhang Sheng went in first to report to Chen Mai. Chen Mai paid for it and taught him to bathe his body with fragrant soup in the classroom outside. Later, he asked his adoptive mother to bring him a new set of clothes, boots and hat, and changed them with him. Then I reported to Chen Mai. At that time, the guards had not left the hall, so Chen Mai invited Jingji to the back hall, dressed up, and came out to meet him. When Jingji entered the house, he looked at Chen Mai and bowed 4 times and 8 times to let his sister receive the gift. Not Chen Mai received a half ceremony and sat down across from her. They talked about the feelings of farewell in the cold and warm, with tears in each other's eyes. Chen Mai was afraid that the guards had retreated from the hall and came in. Seeing that no one was in front of her, she winked and said in a low voice, "If he asks you when he comes back, he will just say that we are cousins. I am 1 year older than you, 25 years old." She was born at noon on April 25th. Jingji said, "I understand." After a while, the maid brought tea, and after the two of them had eaten it, Chen Mai asked, "Why did you become a Taoist priest?" "The guard didn't know that he hit you by mistake, so I would have regretted it. If I hadn't kept you then, it would have been hard to let you go with that bitch Zue here. Because I was behind and sent that bitch away, Zhang Sheng couldn't find you anywhere. Who knew that you were working outside the city and ended up in this position?" Jingji said, "To be honest with you, I can't tell you that I want to marry you. 6th sister, my father died in Tokyo. He was late. He was not married, and he was killed by Wusong. I heard that you were kind and buried him in Yangfu Temple. I also came to burn paper there and lost my mother. I just sent him away. After the funeral, my eldest sister died again. She was sued by my mother-in-law, and the house was sold after a lawsuit. I was left destitute. Thanks to my father's friend Wang Xing'an, I was sent to lynching to become a monk. Unexpectedly, I was beaten by a bachelor and was thrown out of our house. I ignored my relatives and friends. I didn't care, so I worked as a servant in a temple. Thanks to my sister's concern, Butler Zhang came to see me, and it was like being a human being again. When they talked about the sad part, they both cried. In the middle of talking, I saw the guards retreating from the hall, opening the curtains left and right, and the guards came in. Chen Jingji moved forward and bowed down. The panicked guard returned the courtesy and said, "I didn't know that I was a good brother to the son. I was concealed by my subordinates and I accidentally bumped into you. Don't blame me, good brother." Jingji said, "I have nothing to say. I have always been disrespectful and unfriendly. I hope to beg for forgiveness." He kowtowed again. The guard held him up with one hand and asked him to sit up. "Jingji sleeps well. If you are willing, be sure to pull down the chair and sit next to him." Guarding the banquet, Chen Mai sat down opposite him. After a while, tea was brought. After eating, the guard asked, "My dear brother, Guizhang, how come you haven't seen me all this time? How do you become a monk?" Jingji Enbui said, "My younger brother spent 24 years in vain. My sister is 1 year older than me." It was noon on April 25th. Born, Zhang's parents died. His family fortune was ruined, and his wife was gone. I didn't know that my sister was married in the palace, so I didn't pay a visit. Since my dear brother left that day, you ordered me. My sister is worried day and night, chirping all the time, and is uneasy until now. I have been unable to find my good brother. I don't expect to meet you today, but it is a destiny for 3 lifetimes. The judge heard that if Zhou Xiaobai and Ximeng King were friends, they would also recognize Chen Jingji. It turned out that Xiaobai was an old and upright man. Although they had been in contact with each other in the past, He did not pay attention to his family's business. There were frequent banquets, but the same officials from Jingdu prison and Jia Tixing did not meet Jingji. Kwang had been a Taoist priest the day before yesterday, so why did he still want to be the son-in-law of Ximen King's family? Therefore, they hid it from him and only recognized him as An Chanmei's cousin. At the same time, they set the tables and arranged for the wine to be served. After a while, there were many cups and plates of delicacies, soups, rice and snacks piled on the table, silver pots and jade cups, and the wine was filled with golden waves. The guards chatted with each other, and they ate until late, with lights and candles in their hands. The guard assigned his family Zhou Ren to clean the West Academy, where there were bed tents. Chamai took out to beds with quilts and pillows and rested with him. He called another boy, Shire, to agree to him. He also packed out 2 sets of silk clothes and changed them with him. For daily meals, Chanmai, please come in and eat. It's true. Once the time comes, no one can control it at all. Time flies. The sun and the moon fly by, but see, I saw plum blossoms on the bottom of the road, and suddenly it was New Year's Day. Unexpectedly, the branches of the apricots are blooming, and the new lotus leaves the water early. Jingji lived in the Garrison for more than a month. One day is April 25th, Chanmai's birthday. Wu Yunyang bought Li Lai a plate of longevity peaches, a plate of longevity noodles, to Garrison soup. For fresh chickens, 2 plates of fruits, and a jar of Nanju. Diane wore Xingyi and brought the stickers. The guard was sitting in the hall. The person at the door reported it and carried it in. Diane handed over the post and kowtowed on the ground. The guard looked at the gift stickers and said, "Thank you for your grandmother's trouble in sending gifts." He distributed the gifts to his family. "Take the gifts and ask for tea to have with the high official. I'll give the gift stickers to my little companions as a gift." My uncle took it and sealed it with a handkerchief, 3 coins of silver, and 100 coins for the person who carried the box. After that, he put on his clothes and went to pay his respects. Diane just waited in front of the hall and asked for his post. I saw a young man, wearing a corrugated hat, a green gauze Taoist robe, sandals and socks, walking out of the corner door, holding a post of reward money in his hand, handed it to his companion, and walked all the way to the back. But suddenly, he looks like brother-in-law Chen. Why is he here? I saw my companion handing Diane a handkerchief and money and sending him out. Arrive at home and talk to Yunyang. I saw on the post that it was written Juman Pang's family bowed to each other. Yunyang then asked, "You haven't seen your sister?" Diane said, "I haven't seen my sister, but my brother-in-law is here." Yunyang smiled and said, "Strange prisoner, you have a very powerful brother-in-law in your family. He is very old and guarding well. You also call him brother-in-law." Diane said, "It's not guard. It's our brother-in-law Chen." When I first entered, Mr. Zhou was in the hall. I handed him a note and kowtowed to him, and he said, "I'll give you a chance again. Grandma has come with a heavy gift. You can give me tea to share with me. Take the post to your uncle and ask for a handkerchief and 3 coins from the official. The person who carries the box will give you 100 cents. After that, Master Zhou came out, got on his horse, and went to pay his respects. After half a day, I saw him coming out of the corner door and handing a reward to his companion. "Who?" Yunyang said. "You're a kid. Don't talk nonsense. Does the lamb know that he's either freezing to death or starving to death? What do you think he's doing in that mansion? My son, are you willing to recruit him?" Diane said, "Grandma dares to make a bet with me. I think it's true, even if he's burned to ashes." Yunyang said, "What is he wearing?" Diane said, "He is wearing a new corrugated hat and a gold hairpin. He is wearing a green gauze Taoist robe, sandals and clean socks. He has eaten well." Yunyang said, "I don't believe it. I don't believe it. I'm not talking about it here." But when Chen Jingji entered the back, Chanmai was still wiping her face and drawing to moths in front of the mirror in the room. Jingji showed him Wu Yunyang's gift sticker, because he asked, "How does his family bring gifts to you? What's the reason?" Chanmai recounted what happened when she met Yunyang at Yangfu Temple on the outskirts of Qingming Festival. Later, How did Ping Iner secretly get to know the head of the pawn shop? How did Wu Shunjian attack Ping Iner and ask about Yunyang's adultery? How did Zhu's sister-in-law say favors, and the guard settled the matter for him, leaving behind to buy gifts for him? Thank you. In the first month of the first month, I went to his house to celebrate Brother Xiao's birthday, and we have been hooking up ever since. He promised me a gift for my birthday and came to see me for a while. And he said it again. After hearing this, Jingji glanced at Chen Mai and said, "Sister, you have no ambition. Thinking about this thief and whore, we tore our sisters apart and killed our sixth sister forever. For thousands of years, it would be better not to meet each other inside or outside the house, but to talk favors for him. Even if Wu Dian tortures the young boy Dian and confesses his adultery, he will be tied with a rope and make a fool of himself before the official. What's the matter? He didn't have an affair with Dan. So why did he marry the girl Xiao Yu? I've been here for a long time, and I won't teach you to talk favors for him. What to do? The month of June is cloudy. I miss him so much." After saying a few words, Chen Mai was speechless. Chen Mai said, "It's okay to do things in the past. It's better that I have good intentions and don't remember old grudges." Jingji said, "Nowadays, people's kindness cannot be repaid by this." Chen Mai said, "Since he gave the gift, it must be in vain. He is still waiting for me to invite him." Jingji said, "I will ignore that slut from now on. What's the point of inviting her?" Chen Mai said, "It would be embarrassing if I didn't invite him. Just tell him whether he comes or not. If you are in the academy over there when he comes, don't come out to see him. We just won't provoke him in the future." Jingji said nothing in anger. I walked to the front and wrote a note. Chen Mai sent her family member Zhou Yi to invite Wu Yunyang. Yunyang dressed up and went out, teaching her breasts Ryer to hold Brother Xiao and sit in a small sedan chair. Dian followed and came to the mansion. Chen Mai and Sun Erniang, all dressed up, greeted each other in the back hall and sat down with a ceremony. Ryer hugs Brother Xiao and kowtows to each other. Jingji hid in the academy over there and did not come out. Chen Mai and Sun Erniang were setting up tea and serving wine in the back hall. To prostitutes, Han Yuchuan and Zheng Jiar were invited to play and sing. No need to elaborate. Dan was waiting in the front room. I saw only a companion, walking behind him with a plate of soup, rice and snacks, and walked to the West Jiaomen Academy. Dan then asked him who he was eating with, and his companion said, "I ate it with my uncle." Dan asked, "What's your uncle's surname?" His companion said, "My surname is Chen." This Dan thief followed him quietly. "Go to West Academy." The little companion immediately opened the curtain and went in, letting Zhuor eat. Dian quietly walked out and was still sitting in the wing. Waiting until nightfall, the lanterns from home came to pick her up, and Wu Yunyang got up from the sedan chair. When he got home, he told Yunyang, "Sure enough, brother-in-law Chen is living in his house." Since Chen Mai was blocked by Jingji, the two families have not been in contact with each other. Exactly, unexpectedly, there are many obstacles in the way, and one thought turns into a matchmaker of resentment. Jingji was secretly having an affair with Chen Mai in the mansion, and no one knew about it. When the Garrison was not at home, Chen Mai would eat and drink with Jingji in the room, play chess and joke in their spare time, and do everything. When the Garrison was at home, he would ask the maids and servants to bring food to the academy for him to eat. Sometimes during the day, Chen Mai would often go to the academy and sit with him for half a day before returning to the back. They were passionate about each other, and there was no need to describe them in detail. One day, the Garrison led his men and horses to patrol, and it was the Dragon Boat Festival in May. Chen Mai set up a banquet in the flower pavilion of the West Academy, and drank Rilger wine with Sun Erniang and Chen Jingji, and had fun with Songzi. The maids and concubines served on both sides. Chen Mai asked the two concubines hiding and Yu Gui to play and sing in front of the table. They ate until the sun set in the west and the light rain came. Chen Mai picked up the big golden lotus cup to persuade him. After several rounds of drinking, Sun Erniang was drunk and got up to look at the room in the back. Chen Mai and Jingji were left alone in the flower pavilion, drinking and playing guessing games. "You drank," I drank. After a while, the maid brought a gauze lantern, and the nurses Jingkui and Yutong sent Jinji to bed. Jingji lost, so he went into the study to avoid the wine and refused to come out. Shamai first sent hiding to invite Jingji, but seeing that Jingji would not come, she sent Yugui to come and said, "If he doesn't come, you'd better bring him back. If he doesn't come, I will come back and slap you 10 times, you bitch." Yugui went to the west study, opened the door, and saw Jingji lying on the bed, snoring and not moving. Yugui said, "Grandma asked me to invite you. If I don't go, she will beat me." Jingji muttered, "It's none of my business to beat you. I'm drunk and can't eat." Yugui pulled him up and pushed him. "I'll take you anyway. If I don't, I'm not a hero." Jingji got anxious and pretended to be drunk in the dark shadow. He took the trick seriously and hugged Yugui in his arms and kissed her. Yugui was also upset and said, "People invited you with good intentions, but you were so unrighteous that you do this for a living." Jingji said, "My son, if you agree, can't that good intention be fulfilled?" He pressed her and kissed her again, and then walked to the pavilion. Yugui said, "Grandma wants to beat me, so I'll pull my uncle over." Chen Mei asked Tai Tang to pour a big bell, and the two played a game of chess and had fun with wine. You played one game, I played another, and the maids fell asleep. Chen Mei then asked Yugui and Hiding to go back to get tea. The two sat in the pavilion and tied their belts to reveal Xiangru's jade, and their red lips to touch the fragrance of Han Dynasty. It was just like this. There are so many flowers under the shade of the curved railings, and there are 2 phoenixes hanging on the hairpins. There is a poem to Pravit. The pavilion is full of joy, and the hair is slanting, and the powder sweat is condensed and the fragrance is soaking the red gauze. The deep courtyard is long and no one comes. Just look at the yellow bird packing at the famous flowers. The two were doing well, when suddenly the maid Hiding brought tea. "Please go to the back. Grandma, Jinj has woken up and is crying for Grandma." Chen Mei accompanied Jingji to drink 2 more cups of wine, rinsed her mouth with tea, and then went back. The maid packed up the housework, and Zir helped Jingji go back to the study to sleep, needless to say. One day, the imperial edict came down, ordering the garrison to lead his troops and horses, and to join Zhang Shui, the governor of Jizhou Prefecture, to suppress the Liangshan Po bandit king Songzhang, and to get up early and late. The garrison commander said to Chen Mei, "You stay at home and take good care of my brother. Ask a matchmaker to find a marriage for your brother. I will register his name with the army. If he is lucky enough to succeed, the court will give him a promotion, which will also be glorious for you." Chen Mei agreed. 2 or 3 days later, the garrison commander packed his luggage and led his men, leaving Zhangsheng and Li En to look after the house, and only took his family member Zhou Ren with him. No more details. One day, Chen Mei called Sister Zhu and said to her, "His father told you to find a marriage for my brother. You must find a good girl of equal status, no matter if she is 16 or 17 years old, as long as she is good-looking, bright and smart. He is also a bit bad-tempered." Sister Zhu said, "I don't know what will happen to him. You don't need to tell me. I think my elder sister is still waiting." Chen Mei said, "If you find a bad one, will I slap you? I will force him to call her my little sister-in-law. Don't treat it as a joke." After saying that, Chen Mei asked the maid to serve tea to him. Chen Jingji came in to eat. Sister Zhu bowed to him and said, "Uncle, I haven't seen you for a long time. Where are you? Fortunately, Grandma just told me to find a good wife for you. How do you thank me?" Chen Jingji frowned and said nothing. Zhu Sao said, "Why is the old beggar silent?" Chen Mei said, "Don't call him uncle. That's a thing of the past. Just call him Uncle Chen." Zhu Sao said, "You really deserve to be beaten. I'm such a dog mouth. If I call you wrong, I'll force you to call me uncle from now on." Jingji couldn't help laughing and said, "This is what I want to say." Zhu Sao was so silly that she hit him and said, "Look at the good things the old beggar said. I'm not your insinuation. How can I be in your heart?" Even Chen Mei laughed. After a while, Yugui prepared tea and food for Zhu Sao to eat, and said, "I'll be careful for you. If there is a good girl who is suitable, come and tell me. Chun Mai said, gifts, soups, flowers, wine, headgear and clothes are all his. Only good girls from good families can enter my house. Zhu Sao said, I know, as long as I can please you, I'll be happy. After a long time, Jingji ate and went to the front. Mrs. Zhu was still sitting there and asked Chun Mai, when did he come? Chun Mai told her about becoming a Taoist priest. I found him and asked him to be my relative. Mrs. Zhu said, good. You have foresight. She asked again, the day before yesterday, your old man said that his aunt was coming to celebrate his birthday. Chun Mai said, he came with a gift first, and then I sent someone to invite him. He stayed for a whole day, then left. Mrs. Zhu said, I was making the bed for someone's family that day, and I was in a mess for a whole day. I wanted to come, but I was in a hurry. She asked again, did his Uncle Chen also see his aunt? Chun Mai said, he was willing to lower his temper to see him. I invited him, so it was messing with me. He was not both courteous, and he would not ask him to sit down, but he would rather teach him not to be reluctant. Zhu Yi said, the old man who is strange is that the old man has a blessing, and the heart is good. Married, just lost her mother. Chun Mai didn't want to be young. He also said that Earl Ying's second daughter was 22 years old. Chun Mai thought that Earl died and hired to marry in his uncle. They all came back with wedding invitations. A few days later, Sister Zhu sent flowers and took out a wedding invitation from her sleeve. On the big red paper, it was written, the eldest daughter of Mr. Ch, who runs a sewing shop, is 2 years old, born in the year of the rooster, at midnight on November 15th, and her nickname is Kuai Ping. She looks like a picture, short and stout, with a melon seed face, gentle and elegant, smart, and a needle worker, needless to say. Both parents are alive, and she has a lot of money. She runs a sewing shop on the street and travels to Suzhou, Hangzhou, and Nanjing. She is from a very good family. The dowry is all Nanjing bed curtains and boxes. Chun Mai said, since it's good, let's marry this family. She asked Sister Zhu to write to her first. Sister Zhu hurriedly said she was going. It is true, if you want to ask for a beautiful woman from the embroidery room, you must rely on the red leaves as a good matchmaker. There is a poem to Depraved. The fairy's loom is tied with a fragrant silk, and there are many marriages thousands of miles away. In the sky, the cowherd is paired with the weaver girl, and the talented man in the world is accompanied by the beautiful girl. Mrs. Zhu sent a letter. When Mr. G's family learned that it was from the Garrison, they were willing to marry and sent a matchmaker named Zhang to act as a matchmaker. Chun Mai prepared 2 loads of tea, grain cakes, and soup and fruit, and asked son Erniang to take a sedan chair to go to Mr. G's house to betroth his daughter. When she came back, she said to Chun Mai, she is indeed a good girl, with a beautiful figure, like a flower, and she is also a good match. Chun Mai chose an auspicious day to accept the marriage proposal and perform the ceremony. 16 plates of soup, fruit, tea cakes, 2 plates of hair ornaments, 2 plates of pearls and jade, 4 loads of wine, 2 sheep, a black bun, a full set of gold and silver hair ornaments, hairpins and rings, etc. 2 Lu Juan robes, and clothes for all seasons. The rest of the cotton cloth and silk, and 20 taels of silver as a gift, need not be elaborated. Yin and Yang were born on the 8th day of the 6th month, and the marriage was allowed. Chun Mai first asked Zhu Sao, does he have a maid to sleep with? Zhu Sao said, there are bed curtains and dowry, but there is no maid to sleep with. Chun Mai said, let's buy a 13 or 14-year-old girl to serve in his room. It will be more convenient to carry buckets and pour water. Zhu Sao said, yes, I will bring one tomorrow. The next day, a maid was brought in, saying, she is the maid in the room of the merchant Huangxi's son. She is only 13 years old this year. Huangxi used the money and grain of the official, and he, Li San and the bailiff who went out from our house were all arrested for the money and grain and were imprisoned for after many years. The family property was gone, and the house was sold. Li San died first, and his son Li Huo was imprisoned. Our family's bailiff Monk Bauer is now wandering outside and following people's horses. Chen Mai said. Is it Lai Bao? Zhu Sao said. He is no longer called Lai Bao, but changed his name to Tang Bao. Chen Mai said. This girl is from Huang Xi's family. How much silver do you want? Zhu Sao said. Only 4.5 taels of silver. Waiting to hand over the stolen goods. Chen Mai said. What 4.5 taels of silver? Give him 3.5 taels of silver and leave it. At the same time, she handed over 3.5 taels of snowflake official silver to him and wrote a document. She changed her name to Jin Ping Mei. Let's not talk too much. It was already the 8th day of the 6th lunar month. Chen Mai dressed up with pearls and jade phoenix crowns, a long-sleeved red robe, and a gold-studded jade belt. She sat in a 4-person sedan chair, with drums, music and lanterns, and married the girl of the family, and offered sacrifices to the wild geese passing through the door. Chen Jingqi rode a big white horse, picked up a silver saddle and bridle, and the blue-clothed soldiers shouted. Wearing a scholar's cap, a round-collared blue shirt, pink-bottomed black boots, and 2 golden flowers on her hair. It is just like, after a long drought, a sweet rain comes. Meeting an old friend in a foreign land. On the wedding night, when the name is on the list of successful candidates. Wash and renovate, arriving at the Garrison, the bride's sedan chair landed. Wearing a red and gold-plated headgear, adding makeup and food, she entered the gate holding a treasure bottle. Yin Yangsheng led them into the painting hall, first worshipped the hall, and then returned to the bridal chamber. Chen Mai arranged for the couple to sit in the tent, and then came out. After Yin Yangsheng scattered the tent, he sent out the wedding money, and the drummers dispersed. Jingji and Mist Kuiping sat back in the tent, rode a horse with a lantern, and went to thank the father-in-law. They ate and returned drunk. In the evening, the girl was beautiful, the boy was talented, and they had sex. It is just like, how much can you get? Spring points to the red apricots and peaches blooming, and the wind blows the green willows. That night, Jingji and Mist Kuiping were a good match. The 2 mandarin ducks under the quilt and the phoenixes in the tent are like fish in water, enjoying the wedding. After the 3-day meal, Chen Mai set up a banquet in the back hall of the mansion hall, played music, and invited relatives to have a drink. There is no need to go into details. Every day when Chen Mai eats, she will invite the couple to eat together in the room. They call each other and sit together. Who dares to say no to a maid, a foster mother, or a family member's wife? It turned out that Chen Mai cleaned up 3 rooms in the West Wing and made them his room. There were bed curtains inside, which were as neat as a snow cave, and curtains were hung. The West Academy outside was his study. There were also beds, a few seats, ancient books, and letters and greeting cards sent to him, as well as handwritten cards handed over from various places, all of which passed through his hands. Chen Mai came out of the academy from time to time to sit and talk with him, and the 2 secretly became friends. It is just like accompanying Jingyu banquet in the morning and accompanying the beautiful girl in the evening. Don't talk about the joyful places, the flowing light follows the setting sun.
Alright, this part of the story ends here.
Want to know what happened next? Let's listen to the breakdown next time.